welcome to my channel Learn with Ayushi. So in the last video I had shared the lecture 1 of for the lesson Chandni. तो आज मैं दूसरा lecture share करूंगी. इसमें आधे part है story का, and in the previous lecture the half part of the story was explained. I hope आपको समझ में आ गया the first part of the story, and I will start with the second part of the story in this video lecture. Please sit back straight and I hope you people will enjoy this video. Let's move ahead. Contents that I am going to cover in this video lecture will be introduction of the second part of the story, what happens to Chandni when she goes to the hill and how she is able to escape, then explanation, of course explanation of the text, everything will be explained properly, followed by new words and the meanings. I hope you people will find this content very easy. So without wasting any time, let's start with the introduction. Introduction. The story of the dangerous wolf in the forest did not discourage Chandni. So basically when Abu Khan warned Chandni that there's a dangerous wolf in the forest, but then also she was not discouraged, right? Next point, Chandni went back to the hills. So she went to the hills. She knew the wolf was somewhere there and she was already aware that the wolf was there, somewhere there. Next, she was ready to put up a good fight and she was all ready to put up a good fight in front of the wolf. Coming to the first para of lecture 2. So this is paragraph 5. Till paragraph 4 we have already covered in the previous video lecture, that was lecture 1. So I'll quickly start and will not waste any further time. Yes, fight the wolf indeed. Have you forgotten the story of your sister Kalua, who was the size of a pig deer? She fought the wolf through the night but was killed in the morning. Abu Khan narrated Kalua's story for the 15th time. To all this, Chandni had only one thing to say. I want to go to the hills. Abu Khan got very annoyed. Annoyed means angry. He thundered, you are not going anywhere. Thundered means he just bursted out, shouted, you are not going anywhere. From today you will live in a small hut and not move about freely in the compound. Ungrateful as you are, you must still be saved from the wolf. He pushed her into a small hut and shut the door. But he forgot to close the small window at the back. The same night, Chandni made that window her passage to freedom. So basically, when she told that I want to go to the hills, I don't want to live here anymore, then Abu Khan narrated her the story of Kalua, her sister, which was the first, or you can say the goat, which was there before Chandni. But then also she said that no, I want to go to the hills. And Abu Khan was very annoyed, he was very angry and he thundered, he bursted out, he shouted that you are not going anywhere. And he said that from today you are going to live in a small hut and not move about freely in the compound. Ungrateful as you are means as unlucky as you are that you won't be able to move into the compound as freely as you were doing it earlier. So he pushed her into a small hut and shut the door, but he forgot to close the window. There was one window also in that hut. And the same night Chandni she ran to the hills and made a passage to her freedom. Moving to next paragraph number 6. Paragraph 6. Chandni reached the hills. It seemed to her that the old hills were standing in a row to welcome her. She felt like a child meeting her parents after years of separation. Wherever she went, the tall grass rose to embrace her. The flowers bloomed to amuse her, and the wind sang an endless song of welcome. How different all this was from her past in the prison. house of Abu Khan's compound. It was the happiest day in Chandni's life. That day she played for hours on the grassy slopes of the hills. She met a herd of wild goats who asked her to join their group. But Chandni politely refused. She wanted to enjoy her new freedom all by herself. So now basically Chandni had reached the hills and she was enjoying her freedom because she's been caged for so many years. You can say she was tied to the ropes and she was only limited to the compound of Abu Khan's house. But when she went to the hills, she could feel that everybody is welcoming her. All the like flowers are blooming and the wind is singing an endless song of welcome. It was feeling as if a child is meeting his or her parents after years of separation. And how different it all was for Chandani because she had been living into the compound of Abu Khan's house. And it was the happiest day in Chandni's life. She played for hours and hours, and she even met a herd of wild goats. They asked her to join their group, but she refused as she wanted to enjoy her freedom all by herself. Okay, so now moving to the next to paragraph 7. The sun disappeared behind the hills, and soon darkness enveloped the grass, the flowers, and the trees. The wind stopped blowing, and there was stillness all around, except for a strange sound which was coming from the bushes. The sound was like a grunt. What was it? It wasn't Abu Khan's voice calling her back to the compound, nor was it the voice of another goat. Then Chandani thought of the dangerous wolf who lived in the hills. She felt scared. Should she go back to the safety of Abu Khan's hut? No, she said to herself. Death in an open field is far better than life in a small hut. The wolf had come out of the bushes and was staring greedily at Chandani. His eyes were shining like burning coals in the darkness. He seemed in no hurry. He knew the new goat was his. So now basically she was enjoying, she was having all the fun. Then what happened? She could hear some strange sound, some grunting sound, growling, right? And she felt scared. She was very frightened. But then also she thought that she should go back to Abu Khan's hut. But then a thought came to her that it's better to die in open rather than to die in a place which is entirely closed, right? And the wolf was coming closer to her, and she could see that the wolf was staring greedily at Chandani as he was hungry, he was greedy, and his eyes were shining like burning coals in the darkness. The eyes were shining. He seemed in no hurry, and the wolf was in no hurry, and he knew the wolf was aware that the new goat was his meal for tonight. Okay, now let's see what happens to Chandani. Let's quickly move to paragraph number 8. Paragraph number 8, lecture 2. The wolf and the goat sized up each other. What does the word sized up each other means? They sprang into each other. They started fighting. The wolf was big and ferocious, whereas the goat, though healthy, was small. But small is not weak. Chandani stood firm on her legs, head slightly bent and horns jutting out. She was a picture of courage. She looked like a brave soldier, ready to fight a treacherous enemy. I must put up a good fight, Chandani thought. Success or failure is a matter of luck or chance. The fight began. It went on through the night. The moon, which had been watching the fight, began to grow pale and suddenly hid behind the clouds. The stars also began to disappear one by one. A faint light appeared in the instant the morning call for prayer came from a distant mosque. The first rays of the sun saw Chandni lying on the ground. So now what happened? They both seized upon each other, and the wolf was very big. And whereas Chandni was healthy though, but she was very small and she was very weak. Okay, because she had been eating for long, but she was small in size as compared to the wolf. But then also Chandni stood firm on her legs, head slightly bent and horns jutting out, taking out her horns to attack the wolf. She was a picture of courage. She was completely a picture of courage. She appeared like a brave soldier and she was ready to find a treacherous army. Treacherous army means an army which was bigger in size with her treacherous army. Okay. Then she said to herself that I must put a good fight. The fight went on through the night, and the moon was an eyewitness of that. And suddenly the moon started to turn pale as it was time to begin the morning. The stars also began to disappear. A faint light appeared in the east. So there was a faint light that appeared in the east, and the morning call for prayer came. And there was a call that could be heard from a distant mosque, a mosque which was far away from that place. But the sound of the early morning prayer from the mosque was coming. The first rays of the sun saw Chandni lying on the ground, and as soon as the sun came, the first ray of the sun found that Chandni was lying on the ground. Now let's see what happens next. Is she dead or is she alive? Paragraph 9. She was completely soaked in blood, my God. The wolf, tired and sleepy, was getting ready to devour her. An assembly of birds perched on top of a tree nearby was debating the result of the fight. Who is the winner? One of them asked. The wolf, of course, most of them said. A wise old bird declaimed with confidence, Chandni is the winner. Although Chandni was dead, but she had given the wolf a very good fight. She was small in size, but then also she had the courage to stand in front of the army and to fight. So they concluded that a wise old bird, she concluded that Chandni is the winner. Right? So this is how the story is all about. Okay, devour her here means swallow her. If you can see the word, she was completely soaked in blood. The wolf, tired and sleepy, was getting ready to devour her. Devour her means to swallow her. Okay, and then an assembly of birds perched on top. They sat on top of the tree nearby and they were debating on the result of the fight. And then all the birds concluded that the winner is the wolf, of course. But a wise old bird declaimed means declared with confidence that Chandni is the winner because she had given a very good fight to the wolf. Right? So that's the end of the story. The story has been written by Zakir Hussain. He is the writer of the story. Well, a very sad end of the story. But the story teaches us that we should never lose. Even if the worst situation comes, we should be ready to fight. Even at the end, if we are a winner or not. But we should always give a good fight. Right? That's what the story teaches us, that we should not lose courage. Even if the enemy is more treacherous to us, big to us, more, we should be always confident enough, right? So that's how the story also gets a conclusion that Chandni is the winner. Okay, now moving new words and the meanings. Annoyed, angry. Next word, separation, living apart, herd, group of goats, then grunt, growl, scared, frightened, sized up, measured, okay, distant, mosque, far away, a mosque which was far away, okay, then soaked, wet, she was wet in blood, devour her, swallow her, perched, sat, the bird sat on the tree. Next, declaimed, declared. Most important, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. Please press on any of the icons which are available on your screen right now. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. It will be a great help. Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a nice day. Stay home, stay safe.